Hey there, YouTube. How's it going? Zach Butler here of Titan Esports. Just going to show you guys my regional top 8 ABC deck profile that I used yesterday. It was pretty good. I went X11 in Swiss. My only loss was to the Dino deck. It was just kind of one of those like unavoidable losses. There's nothing I could really do. And then I tied with Spiral. Otherwise, I beat every other deck I played against. Trickstar, Mirror Match, a couple of Draco decks and stuff like that. But my build was pretty cool, so I thought I'd show you guys. And yeah, if you have questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below before I get even started. Huge shout out to John for letting me do this on his channel. And make sure to check out Titan Esports on Facebook. We're gonna have our own channel up and stuff pretty soon, and we'll be doing streams and stuff like that to talk about theory and everything. All that fun stuff. So let me just show you guys the deck. So first you have 3A, 3B, and 2C. The reason for this was actually because we originally I was going to go with 3 of each, and then I cut C down to 2 just because I felt it was a little weaker. But A was definitely something I wanted to have at 3 because of how strong it is in the Trickstar matchup, as well as the Spiral matchup. 1900 is just huge, and then also there's a cool little combo you can do with any piece basically, and any way to get to Destrudo, and it can end on like Decode Buster, but most people know that, so that's pretty standard. Then we've got 2 Destrudo and 1 Darkworm. This is a newer engine for me, especially with this card. Darkworm is a monster that is like almost like a Cyber Dragon or a Photon Thrasher or any other starter card if you have no monsters out and it's in the graveyard, which is really cool. So it synergizes great with Dragon Shrine and Foolish Burial. And then we all know that Destrudo is just crazy in this deck because of the Ancient Fairy Dragon plays and everything that it can produce. So those are really good. My teammate Joe Bogley actually just the weekend before topped a regional where he played 3 copies of this. And I felt like 3 was a little too much, so I cut it down to 2 and a Foolish, because Foolish Burial was a more flexible version of that card, which is something that we will have a discussion on a stream or something, like explaining the concept of like 4 ofs when you want them, 1 ofs when you don't, or like in the case of Destrudo, it's like an 8 of when you want it, but a 2 of when you don't, because of all the field spells and stuff like that, which is really cool. Next up you have 2 Cock-a-Doodle-Doo. This card is pretty underwhelming actually. Initially I was a big fan of it. I thought it was going to be very powerful. It ended up really just being our worst Destrudo, and I sided it out quite a bit. And then for hand traps we had 3 Ash, 3 Ogre, and Max C. That's a pretty standard hand trap lineup, I feel. Originally I was playing Gammas as well as the Ogres, and the Ashes and everything, and I cut the Gamma because I just felt like Gamma was getting weaker and weaker. Joe, when he topped, actually didn't play any hand traps besides those 4, but I wanted to have 7 because I felt like it was a good ratio, and teammate Justin Singh was definitely right when he said that 7 is probably the best number of hand traps you can have. For the spells, we've got 3 Union Hanger, 2 Dragon Ravines. This is something I was considering playing 3 of, but I didn't want to have too many field spells in my hand at any point in time, so I was a little on the fence about it. Looking back, I actually probably should have played 3. 3 Terraformings, 1 Set Rotation, 2 Pot of Desires. This is probably something I probably should have played 3 of. It says draw 2, so that's always good. I don't know, I kept running into situations where I just didn't want to see it that much, honestly. 2 Twin Twisters, just for the mirror match, for Trickstars, and also actually kind of for Spirals, because one of the problems Spirals run into is that if they can't answer Buster before they play the Resort, or if they can't answer, one of the problems ABC runs into is that if they can't answer Resort without using Buster, they struggle against that matchup. So I use this mostly just to answer Resort against them. And it was really good against like other decks, and it's like almost a pseudo engine card because you know it throws cards in the graveyard, which is always good. And we've got 1 Foolish Burial, of course, For the trap cards, this is the crazy part of the deck in my opinion. Main deck 3 Mind Crush. These are really good. The information you got when you have a card like Buster and hand traps is just enough to push you so far ahead, and your opponents really can't play any because you know exactly which cards you want to Buster, which cards you want to hand trap, and everything like that. 2 Floodgate Trap Hole and 1 regular Trap Hole. Or bottomless trap hole, not regular trap hole, that'd be crazy. 1 bottomless trap hole. These were because I actually played Trap Tricks Rafflesia in my extra deck, and Joe had mentioned in our conversations in the team chat that this card was, Floodgate was essentially an auto win against basically every matchup. If you're playing against Pendulum Magicians, you can just book all their monsters and lock down their extra deck zone. If you play against Spirals and you have a hand trap, it's really cool because you can let them Helix, and then you just Floodgate whatever they summon. And then you still have your Ash or your Ogre, whatever like that, left over, and that's really powerful. That card really overperformed all day. And then the last trap I played was Skill Drain, just because it's an auto win. The extra deck was pretty straightforward. You got 3 Buster Dragons. For the Synchros, I play 1 Omega, 1 Black Rose, and 2 Ancient Fairies. I'm trying to think if there's really anything to say other than the fact that Ancient Fairy Dragon at 2 was definitely correct, because of all of the times when you do your first turn combo, if they can answer it, you want to be able to, on the next turn, blow up a field spell. And if you're just used up your Ancient Fairy and you haven't only one, you can run into these grind games where you really can't do much, and it also gives Destrudo a longer game. Black Rose only came up like once or twice. And Omega was mostly there just for when I use Cock-a-doodle-doo on their turn, or on when they have an established field, because then it becomes level 4. Never really came up. I did I did Reaper Summons Omega once. That was kind of cool. For the rank 4s, none of these are really that good. You have Baguska, Tornado Dragon, and Rafflesia. Rafflesia was mostly just for the turn after you decode Buster them. When you detach with your Buster, there's really no good rank 4s to go into other than like Tornado Dragon. So I was like, well, I can go like Rafflesia Buster, and then that's even harder to answer because then you just have like a bottle or a trap hole, as well as hand traps and Buster, which is basically a trap card in monster form. And that was really good, but it didn't come up too often. Most of the games were actually just kind of blowouts. Then we've got, for the links, we got Akashic Magician. This card was pretty weak. Proxy Dragon, I actually really wish I played a second one of these. This card was crazy. And you burn through your first one in the combo, and there's a couple of games I think I could have won a little bit more easily if I had a second one. Same with Decode Talker. Definitely needed a second one of those because it was just so big. Or even a Gaia Saber would have been fine. Borolo Dragon, only made it once, and I made it with 4 pieces, and then they instantly scooped because I got 4 effects. That was really entertaining. And then I played Double Helix because of cherries. For the side deck, you've got 3 Evenly Matched. This card's pretty awful, not gonna lie. I've been a very vocal individual about how I feel the card is actually very weak against players that are average, even, and now it's getting even worse because people have just learned, like, you just don't commit your whole hand, and even if you do get evenly matched, most of the time you can come back. This deck is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to play, or evenly matched is one of the reasons I wanted to play this deck, though, is because evenly matched against this deck is actually pretty awful. They can't really do anything. If they evenly matched your turn 1, you still have a Buster, and that's still hard to answer. But I probably wouldn't side this card again. 2D Barrier for the Invoked matchup. It's a really tough matchup. It's almost an auto loss, actually. Which is really crazy to think, because, like, it's not even really necessarily like the hand traps and stuff. It's just the fact that Macabre is huge. And if they can stop Hanger, you have a tough time. These were originally Dark Hole and Raigeki, but I wanted to have something in there just for the Invoked matchup. 3 Cherries, 3 Magical Spring, again, just because the Pendulum Magician matchup can be a little tough. That's all pretty normal. And then the last 4 cards by side deck were a little weird. I cited 3 Pot of Acquisitiveness. This card's crazy. Actually, it makes it so getting cherries isn't necessarily the worst thing. It's good against Lightsworn. It's good against Invoked. It's just actually all around a pretty solid card. I only really used it once or twice though, because like I said, most of my games were blowouts. But one of the best moment was when one of my opponents activated cherries on my summon when I had I summoned A, equipped B, and I had C in graveyard, so I could fusion summon right there. And then they cherries and removed all my busters. Then I just activated this, and then they just lost because they had nothing else they could do. And definitely the MVP card of the weekend was Closed Forest. This one is a huge shout out to Joe Bogley. We jokingly had talked about citing this card, then he did it at a regional and got 8th place with it. So what it does is, while it's in the field, neither player can activate field spells, and then when it's destroyed, during that turn, neither player can activate field spells. And so what you do is you do your Ancient Fairy Dragon combo, and instead of searching an extra Union Hang or anything like that, you just search this out, you activate it, and then it basically freezes them for the turn. And it's even good if they evenly matched you, because you can simply just leave Buster out on the field and then Buster their resort. And then, I mean, like, this card was still just fine. It was really good all day. It was a total blowout in the mirror match. Total blowout against Draco. It's just an insane card. But, yeah, that was really the deck, guys. Shoutouts to MetaMats and Titan Esports. MetaMats is an awesome partner for us. I'm really glad to have them. They create awesome playmats, like this Way of the Warrior pink one that they were kind enough to give me. It's only a few of them in the world, which is pretty cool. Shoutouts to Joe Bogley, Marcus Hayden, Justin Singh, Michael Stade, and Jacob Silverman, my teammates. Shoutouts to Aaron Thompson for theorying with me on the side deck at 6 a.m. That's really about it. Oh, shout out to House of Champs for putting me on the channel, and thanks guys, have a good day.